Government shutdown is now in its 30th day, just 5 days shy of the longest one during President Trump's first term. Plus, the Senate adjourned through the weekend, expecting to return to work again on Monday, which means we know the shutdown will last until at least then. The impacts are already being felt here in Minnesota and are leading to a lot of uncertainty for the 18,000 federal workers here. Some of them testified at the state capitol today that they don't know how much longer they can go without getting paid. Danny Spiewak joins us now live with more on this story. Danny.
Today we heard from a few of those federal workers and union representatives who said that many of the members and their colleagues are struggling to make ends meet without being paid right now. Of course, stretching into a second month almost. It's been 30 days of a federal government shutdown. Federal workers have missed one full paycheck already. Pretty soon we'll miss a second.
In Duluth, the state's second largest airport welcomes hundreds of passengers a day.
I'm screening on the floor.
Mark Johnson works as a TSA agent at Duluth International.
Passengers have been very accommodating to us.
As a union head, he also represents hundreds of TSA employees across the state, including those at MSP, who have been working the last 30 days without pay during the government shutdown.
Coming up into the holiday season, it's an added stressor that we don't need.
On Thursday, Johnson traveled to the state capitol to testify before a state Senate committee examining the federal shutdown's impact.
Officers that have come to me that say, my rent is due on November 1st. I don't have the funds for that.
Meanwhile, union leaders for U.S. Department of Agriculture workers, one of the largest federal employers here in Minnesota, said their members are being crushed.
They wake up in the morning after a restless night full of worries, still wanting to go to work.
All state lawmakers on the committee sympathized with the workers, but blamed the federal shutdown on each other's parties.
That our own U.S. senators continue to vote against opening our government.
Today, the Senate Republicans and the federal Senate could end the shutdown. They could change the rules of the Senate and end the shutdown. They have the power to do that. The thing they can't do is force Democrats to vote for a bill that doesn't include a priority of theirs.
Until the situation is resolved, federal workers like the TSA agents,
There's no partisanship in this.
find themselves caught in the middle.
Let's get together and get this done. We're showing up to do our job and we're not being paid for it, so we would like to see them reciprocate it and get us paid.
There were also fears that there would be a ripple effect to state workers who rely on federal funding for their positions. In fact, there were dozens of layoff notices scheduled to go out today to workers in the Minnesota Department of Health, but an MDH spokesperson told us those notices were averted. They did not go out because the federal government gave the state some verbal assurances, is what they said, that they would have the funding to keep those positions still going. But still a lot of uncertainty for even state workers here in Minnesota.
Danny, this is a federal government shutdown, so what was the point of people testifying at the state today?
In many ways, it was really just raising awareness. Of course, there are some things that the state legislature could look at in terms of providing more assistance to federal employees. But it was a group of both DFL and a couple of Republican senators on the committee. So basically, they were just listening to the testimony and raising awareness about the impact.
All right. Thank you, Danny.